What's up my peeps and welcome to the Royal Rumble 2016 prediction game video, where I'll be going over every single one of my predictions for all the matches on the card, including of course the Royal Rumble match. And as always, I encourage you guys to participate in the comment section for a chance to get a shout out in the next prediction game video if you get every single match right. You see, this is how the prediction game works. If you're new to this, if this is the first time you want to participate or whatever, you just leave your predictions for every single match, and in this case right here, I want you guys to stay to the very end of the video. Actually, I always want you guys to stay to the very end, but I will have a bonus question this time, because for the Royal Rumble, there's only 5 matches, or actually, hold on a second, if you include the pre-show match, then there's 6 matches. So there's 6 matches, and that's a little less than the usual pay-per-view, so I'm going to have a bonus question for you guys to answer or predict, so make sure you stay tuned to the end. But anyways, man, this is my favorite time of the year, the road to WrestleMania, and it's for 2 reasons. It used to be for 3 reasons. It used to be for the Rumble, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania. I love the Elimination Chamber match, so I like the pay-per-view automatically just because there was the Elimination Chamber match. But, you know, they've replaced it with Fastlane now, so now it's just because of WrestleMania and the Rumble. And I still can't decide which I like more, the Rumble or WrestleMania. What about you guys? Because I know a lot of people prefer the Rumble over WrestleMania just because of the Rumble match. And, like, me, I'm torn. I love the Rumble match, but I also like WrestleMania because it's the biggest show of the year, and that's where you see the really big matches. So yeah, I might actually like the Rumble just a little bit more, maybe. So this year, man, there's a ton of possible superstar debuts and also returns. But I think a lot of people are talking about how we might just see AJ Styles make an appearance in the Rumble match. Hey, I'm all for it. If you haven't checked out my Royal Rumble Returns video, make sure to check that out. If I remember, I'll put an annotation, but most of the times when I tell you guys there is an annotation, it's not there because I forget to go ahead and put it. So if I do remember, I'll put it. If not, you can go ahead and check the channel and you'll find it. But anyways, before anybody comments, hey, why don't you have Roman Reigns in this simulation right now? I do, but he's not at number 1. The thing is, with the game, for some reason, if you're not actually playing as the superstar, then you can't set the entry number for that superstar. So since I wasn't playing as Roman Reigns here, then I couldn't go ahead and set Roman Reigns' number. So he enters at random later on. So anyways, with all that aside, how about we get down to the predictions? Let's start off with the pre-show, aka the kickoff match. And this one's kinda odd, or one of the tag teams here, it's Darren Young and Damien Sandow versus the Dudley Boyz versus the Ascension versus Mark Henry and Jack Swagger. And there's a stipulation to this where the winner, or the winning team, goes ahead and moves on to the Royal Rumble. So they actually get a spot in the Rumble match. Now, that's not what I find odd. What I find to be odd is that Darren Young is teaming up with Damien Sandow and not Titus O'Neil. I'm not sure why that is, or why that's the case. I mean, isn't he a part of the Primetime Players, or is that no longer a thing? Because I know they've been, you know, kind of teasing like a new Booker T and Goldust with Titus O'Neil and Stardust. But yeah, so I don't know. Are they going their separate ways in different tag teams? Or maybe Titus O'Neil is already in the match, so that's why they're doing this? Not sure. But anyways, as far as this goes, really, I think it's either the Dudley Boyz or, honestly, I'd say the Dudley Boyz. Like, it's kind of random. Can you really tell? It's not like there's been a storyline behind this or a feud or anything like that. It's just, you know, superstars in there, and 2 of them will be entering the Rumble. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Dudley Boyz get this, but yeah, it might be Mark Henry or Swagger, Darren Young and Damien Sandow. The only reason why I'm going with the Dudley Boyz is because this is a tag team match, and the Dudley Boyz are them and the Ascension are the only official tag teams in this bout, so you'd assume one of the official tag teams would fare better in a tag team match. But anyways, yeah, going with the Dudley Boyz, and I'm talking about the kickoff match. Let's go ahead and move on to the New Day versus the Usos for the WWE Tag Team Championships. So, New Day versus the Usos. I'm going to go with the New Day on this one. But what I've noticed is over the past couple of years, it's like the WWE has increased the frequency of title wins or out of nowhere and surprise title wins that you would think are just any other title defense. Like for instance, Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose at TLC. I think most of us thought Kevin Owens was going to win, and then bam! Dean Ambrose ends up winning the championship. This could be one of those cases right here. And I mean, it's cool, but that's really been hurting my predictions, because I've been predicting, these title matches like, champ's gonna retain, and then bam, lose the title. But I'm pretty confident in this one that the New Day will win. But there's always that possibility. But anyways, I'm sticking with the New Day. And moving on, we've got Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto. Speaking of surprise title wins, and that was a surprise title win right there with Kalisto winning the championship. And then on SmackDown, Kalisto goes ahead and loses it to Del Rio again the same week. Actually, the day after, because SmackDown is taped the day after. So, this is their rematch. This, I'm assuming, is the final match. Now, if Kalisto wins here, then it wouldn't be the final match because Del Rio is entitled to a rematch clause. And that's the problem with the title changing hands a lot, is you keep on getting rematches because champ is entitled to a rematch. Unless they do the whole stipulation where this is the final opportunity and there's no more rematches after that for a couple years. Or until the fans forget, or until we think they forgot. So anyways, I'm going to go with Del Rio on this one. Really, I think the reason why Kalisto won the championship on Raw is so that they could go ahead and have a title change on SmackDown. Because from what it seems like, it definitely seems like they're trying to rebuild SmackDown as, a top brand or, something more premium, I guess, or closer to Raw. Because over the past couple of years, just SmackDown hasn't felt the same. I remember back in... not that long ago, well, actually, yeah, it's kind of long ago, back in 2005, 2006, and maybe even a couple years after, SmackDown and Raw were pretty close. Like you had one championship, major championship on SmackDown, one major championship on Raw. They were pretty equal, and you had the brand wars and everything. But yeah, over the past couple of years, Raw has obviously been the more important show, and SmackDown's been featuring, random tag team matches and things if you missed the show, you didn't miss anything major, anything really important. Seems like they're trying to change that with something like a title change that we saw here. So anyways, gonna go with Del Rio here. I think he's gonna retain, and that's gonna be it. And moving on, we've got Charlotte versus Becky Lynch, and I'm gonna go with Charlotte on this one. Because I feel at WrestleMania, Charlotte's gonna go ahead and go into it as the champion. And on top of that, looking at the possible challengers for the Divas Championship at WrestleMania, I really feel it's going to be a face. Because if I'm looking at the heel challengers, I can't see any one of them, challenging for the championship. If it's a one-on-one match for the championship at Mania, I don't know if they're going to do a multi-Divas match or whatever. But if it's a one-on-one match, I don't think it's going to be a heel diva challenging the champion. And so, if it's going to be a face, it's most likely going to be a heel champion versus a face challenger. Like, I can see Charlotte versus Sasha Banks maybe at WrestleMania. Or maybe Charlotte versus, I don't know, Brie or something like that. Depends if they build her up again. We'll see. But as far as the Rumble goes, I can't see Becky taking the title from Charlotte, especially with the Nature Boy in her corner. And then, we've got something we don't really see often. Actually, I don't remember the last time we saw it. And that is a last man standing match, wait for it, for the Intercontinental Championship. Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens. Now, I'm not talking about a last man standing match. We've seen that, a couple of times. We've seen that a bunch of times. But when's the last time we saw it for anything other than the WWE Championship? I don't remember. The closest thing I remember to this is when Ric Flair and Triple H feuded back in 05 or 06, I don't know, one of those years. Ric Flair was the Intercontinental Champion at that time. And it was his first reign, I believe, too, as the Intercontinental Champion, his first and only one. And he and Triple H were feuding. They had a last man standing match, but even then, that last man standing match was a non-title match. They had a title steel cage match, but the last man standing match for some reason wasn't for the championship. And I guess it's because Triple H won that. So this is pretty cool, and I'll talk about that more in my detailed prediction and simulation of the match. But as far as who I think is going to take this one, I'm going to go with Ambrose. Now, at TLC we did see a surprise win from Ambrose. Could we see a surprise win from Owens here? We could. Like I said earlier, they do like to pull off sometimes these surprise out of nowhere title wins. And we just saw one recently with Del Rio and Kalisto. But since we just saw one recently with Del Rio and Kalisto, and also the one between Ambrose and Owens, I think they're going to calm down on that a bit. So I'll say Dean Ambrose wins and retains here. And I'm looking forward to this, by the way. Aside from the Rumble, this is the match I'm looking forward to the most. And speaking of the Rumble, who do I think is going to win the 30-man Royal Rumble match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship? I'm also going to give my thoughts on the Rumble match being for the title in my detailed prediction of that, so part 2 of this video. But anyways, I think, you know, when it comes to the Rumble, it's always down to a couple of superstars. Now, we'll say oh shit, Bryce, kill me out. But anyways, last year, I think it was pretty damn obvious who was going to win. And I think that's one of the parts that kind of, you know, ruined last year's Rumble, where it was really, like, was there really any other option than Reigns? It was, like, extremely obvious that Reigns was going to win, and nobody else really was an option. I think, even when it comes to Daniel Bryan, I think a lot of people wanted to believe that Daniel Bryan had a shot at winning it, but it seems like it was mostly people just wanting to believe that. But, you know, deep down, they kind of knew that, yeah, it's probably not going to win. Roman Reigns is probably going to win. And, of course, he ended up winning. So, is Roman Reigns going to win this one once again? Is he going to win the Royal Rumble 2 years in a row? If you ask me, I'm going to go ahead and say no. So, I think there's going to be a title change. And who do I think is going to win? I'm going to go ahead and say Triple H. Now, I did go back and forth on this one between two superstars. And I think you guys can guess who those two superstars are. If you can't guess, then make sure to check out part 2 of this video where I'll go into detail. But anyways, yeah, Triple H is my pick to win the 30-man Royal Rumble match. So, that's it for my match predictions. Now for the bonus question. The bonus question is, who do you think is going to enter the Royal Rumble at number 2? So we know Roman Reigns is number 1. Who's going to enter at number 2? So along with your predictions, make sure to answer that question as well. If you get all of that right, then you will get a shout out in the next prediction game. Now, as far as who I think is going to get that number 2 spot, I'm going to go ahead and say Y2J Chris Jericho. So, that's it for my predictions. Now it's time for you guys to give me your predictions in the comment section below. Don't forget to include your answer to the bonus question. And also, when it comes to the last prediction game winners, we had Kyle Hartas. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. If I did, go ahead, you can correct me in the comment section. And also Kyle TH99 Gaming. Both of them have Kyle in their names. The link to their channels will be in the description box and also in the comment section. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys can show this video a lot of love by clicking that like button. And go ahead, leave your predictions, and let's try and make this one of the biggest prediction games yet. So leave your predictions, and I hope some of you win. I'm out. See you guys.